Well, after 122 years, it was gone in just minutes. The nameless Confederate soldier at the center of Hemming Park pulled off its pillar and hauled away. Now, the move came after weeks of protests calling for the statue's removal, and just 2 days before the mayor announced that the Republican National Convention was coming to Jacksonville. Even people who didn't like the process thought it made political sense. But what about the other 10 markers targeted for removal? On Your Side, Dan Schindler has spent weeks trying to track down who came up with the list and why. And as she found, it's a question with no easy answers.
I hear you.
Just hours after he ordered the Confederate statue removed before sunrise, Mayor Lenny Curry promised others would follow.
And the others in this city will be removed as well.
But the list of 10 monuments and markers includes not just items that celebrate the Civil War. It also includes garden-variety historical markers describing actual events told in the same flat cadence of high school history books.
Historical markers, they are for information.
Jacksonville author and historian Dr. Wayne Wood says some of the markers should probably remain.
Definitely a lot of the historic markers are important and they're correct, and they should be retained as part of the city's recollection of events that happened in our town.
Wood notes the city's artistic, historic, and civic community was not part of creating the list. The markers aren't even cited on the list created by Take 'em Down Jacks, the primary activist group calling for the removal of racist symbolism. The list also seemed to come out of thin air with no paper trail.
I've been asking your office since June for any documents or memos or text messages.
The day after the list was released, we submitted a public records request.
Confederate monuments and markers, and they've told me that they don't have anything.
When asked how the city came up with the list, there was no answer. It appears the list was simply an inventory of Civil War-related markers requested by former City Council President Anna Brochet in 2017. Curry did promise to involve the community in deciding where the items should be located, but was adamant that the list was final.
When they're moved, and they will be moved, where they're moved, and how they will be contextualized based on history.
Ann Schindler, First Coast News, on Your Side.